Good morning, everyone, and I hope you had a fantastic weekend, long weekend in the US. I hope you had a good time with your family and friends, and obviously that means that we've now got a market that is still finding a bit of the bull, getting closer to that massive trend line of 6,300, 6,320, and obviously some big announcements. Elon re-entering the game in politics and smashing around the stockholders. So, guys, a lot going on. Obviously, plenty of information covering today. We'll be going through stocks, commodities, cryptos, and everything that you want to know and probably need to know. And a big shout out to everyone that's here early. So thank you very much for joining us. So we'll kick things off by, I guess, just quickly talking about this Tesla situation. This will be probably the storyline of the day, which is that we're opening up at around 6% down. And of course, it's extra politics that's doing it. So whether you feel it or not, or whatever you really believe, it obviously is a bit unfortunate for a lot of stockholders because, this is going to mean that we're going to see probably quite a lot of tweets or truths or whatever you want to say this week. And I would say this is going to be pretty volatile stock. So does it hold the 280, 300? That remains to be seen. We do know that, of course, this is exactly where we have all the options. So most of the options tend to be around this 280, 300 level. So you're looking at basically puts that are all sitting around these zones. So if it's going to hold this area. And if it fails this area and it keeps going down because stockholders get a bit jittery, then we could be looking at a 240, 220 very quickly. So remember, must hold 280, 300. Do you guys think it will? Let me know in the chat. Give a shout out here to a few people that are joining. PL says, raring to go. Flylia45 says, hello, Tom. What's up, man? Gertie says, waves. Thank you very much. Michael says, g'day, Tom. Love the seminar last week in Melbourne. Excellent information as always. Appreciate it, Michael, and thank you for coming out. Yeah, it was great to see so many people here in Australia, Melbourne, as you guys call it in America. Really looking forward to hopefully getting back overseas maybe next year and doing a few extra seminars. I'd love to meet you guys. You know, it's awesome just to see you also interact with other members. We had a whole bunch of people just hanging out the front after, just chatting about stocks, commodities, whatever. And I'm sure hopefully making lifelong friends in the investment community. So you guys were, it was awesome to meet you. And I ended up staying around for a bit and having a chat to you. So that was excellent. All right. 280 break will give 165, says Jodeep. Wow, that's pretty low. And Kevin says Tesla 100 and 200 week are above the 250. And Tesla is now a gamble. Too much politics, impossible to trade. So it's not impossible to trade, but obviously it's one of those ones that you've got to look at the levels and pay attention to. So it's a bit gamblery if you don't like the idea of big gaps in the morning, and it really comes back down to the options. So obviously, I think I would be a wait and see on this one. Let's have a look at the SPX. Let's load that up. So last week, we discussed the idea that we were going higher and that we would keep pushing, and we did that. So we are continuing to push. Now, can anyone guess the big possible catalyst that's coming up very soon? And it's not just the catalyst of the 9th of July, which has multiple. I should just have a quick look here actually at the 9th of July. So we've got proposed implementation date of the 50% tariffs, obviously, and 90-day pause deadline. So this is one of the big things. But what else do we start to see kick off here? What else happens? Oh, you might be cheating. Someone can probably see it on that screen. What's the big event that's happening over the next months, maybe month and a half, I guess? Bonds maturing, FOMC, earnings. Cody's got it. Yeah, I think earnings is the big one here. Absolutely. A lot of you guys picking it through. Just remember, we're back in earnings season. It's not much to report this week because, of course, we have really just more airlines, but the old JP Morgan and more importantly, the banks in general, they're going to be showing quite a lot about debt. I think they're going to be, I would say, enthusiastic. Hopefully, they're controlling the situation. I'm sure they're not, but they're probably letting it get out of control with this new deregulation in the crypto world. But certainly, that is going to be the storyline. Now, you probably can't see this. I don't know why it's not letting me get a different color on there. Let's just refresh this for a second and see if I can get a different color for it. Old sneaky trading view not giving me the different color before. There we go. Now we can use yellow. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. We can actually see what the hell we're talking about. So this is the trend line you need to have. I definitely put this on your charts, guys. And it comes through the previous peak of 22 and kind of goes back through a bit of history. So a lot of people have got something similar to this. It's not a bad trend line. You know, to me, it's just really about this peak here and this peak here. And this will be the one that I think most people will have. So why is this important? Well, it means that if we starting to hit into that 6,300 to 6,320 territory, we're starting to not only be extended, but we're completing quite a few things. So let's have a look at the first completion. The first completion is I have to use the US 500 futures for this. So the first completion is, get rid of that for a second. Oh, I was trying to save your ears, but I couldn't get the mute button done. All right, there we go. So usually what you do with the flag is you would extrapolate it out from this area here. You'd say, okay, this is the flag pattern. This is the break. You would then take the break distance of the previous leg from the low to the high, and then you basically say around here. So 63.20 just so happens to also be the top of the flag. You guys think we'll get there before earnings season or kick off earnings season into it? Obviously, strength kind of continues strength. So that's the general idea. We'll go back to the SPX for a second. And that's why we get that 63.20. So we've got some cross correlation going on. We've got the flag, we've got the pole length. We also have the trend line top, and we have a general pattern as well of the first 2 weeks of July generally being okay. And then it starts to dwindle. So there's a lot of selling that tends to go on near the end of July, and that's the last couple of weeks. So we are now, week 1 of July kind of in the books, very green, very good. That's what you would expect. Week 2 sometimes can get, very green at the start and then not so good near the end even. So we're now on that precipice of a big turning point. It just so happens that I think the 15th, was it the 15th here, is JP Morgan's report. So the 15th of July, right in the middle, we get that. And these are some of the other key points as well. It's a cool chart here. I had this in the video as well. Thank you very much for watching that, guys. And we have the JP Morgan report. We got US CPI, of course, 15th as well. So big day, 15th. Mark that one into your notebooks. And then, of course, we've got here the, some treasury auctions and stuff. But I think these are the main 2 storylines you'll be paying attention to over the next week and a half, 2 weeks. And not really that much else. That's the main thing. We've got M2 money supply continuing up. So obviously, this is usually a bullish catalyst for particularly Bitcoin. Most of you are probably aware it tends to track M2 money supply to a degree with an offset. An offset, I think, is around 16, something like that, weeks or something. So generally speaking, Bitcoin's looking very exciting right now as well on the charts, and we'll go through that soon. So S&P, I've got the trend line. I've got the fact that we're going to probably extend to that area is generally the storyline I think we've got here. And we also have that we haven't touched the weekly 20. So here's the weekly 20, and you'll notice whenever we tend to rally through, we usually come back, and particularly these V-shaped rallies come back. So here's the 2021. I would liken the current run to be similar to this. So that is make a new all-time high, squeeze the FOMO, extend, pull back, and then possibly we rally for a little bit, or possibly we start to do this janky type of thing on the market. So this is the more likely scenario. What do you guys think? Do you agree, disagree? Think the market's just going to keep going up forever, or do you think around this level makes sense? It says here, what about BTC? Yes, I do like BTC. I certainly do. Thoughts on Hood and the tokens, bro? Haha. Yes, the Hood magical tokens. That's right. So this is the new big thing that everyone's talking about, tokenization of this, that, and everything else. And it's already pumped into this day of this event. So I think the thing that's key here is that we're seeing a lot of side pumps. So we've got Hood first rallied, then we've got a lot of other brokers that are now catching up, that are possibly going to give us announcements or do something similar. And to me, 100, just before 100, we got the number one largest trade of all time, which kind of tells me that probably the hype is over for now. We're going to just go do a pit. So while the news has been good, as we often say, if it's in the press, guys, it's in the price. Okay. So remember, look at the left-hand side. It's one of the biggest pieces of, let's say, advice that I actually do give people. And there's not, again, not financial advice, but when you're talking about thinking about a storyline, if you have a stock that has gone from $34 in 7th of April to $100 by like the 7th of July, then that's a pretty unbelievable run. That's a beautiful run. Don't get me wrong. I understand it's doing very, very well, 215%. But it clearly ran into this event. So what that generally does is look at the volume. Do you think this is unusual volume? Let's just zoom this out and have a quick look at it. Interesting volume. We've seen similar volumes at the drops. Buyers, Wall Street maybe. Big trades. Nice. Big volume at the peaks too. Around earnings. Huge volume over here. Just to put this in perspective, the last time we had volume this big was the IPO. And we all know what happened up here. Old Kramer came out and he's like, I love Hood. I've never heard of it before, guys, but I love it. I love it. And it died. So I'm not saying it should do that, but that's some unusually high volumes, and they tend to happen around very important points. So for me, Hood is a great stock. It's doing very nicely. But I think the lion's share of the profits have been had. And that's why I often have that statement. If it's in the press, it's in the price. You've got to come from that abundance mindset. Is this a winner? Yes. Did it absolutely blow the lights out? Yes. Has it gone ballistic? Yeah. These are some big outside candles. When I see that, I tend to think, well, okay, it's just going to chill for a bit. What do you guys think? Hey, Tom, could you have a look at AMD? AMD had a good one here. Darth Buddha says Hood has really bad charts. I think it's got an amazing run, an amazing, if you've been on the run, congrats. But it reminds me a bit of when PLTR hit that price and it kind of just floated for a bit and had those big sell-offs. I think you'll need to see more to really want to pull the trigger on it. But certainly the discussion is there. Now, someone mentioned Bitcoin before. Oh, these reach set charts are killing me sometimes, guys. Let's just quickly dump all these lines. Got to fix that cache. All right, so over here, you can see that we have Bitcoin. Now, I'm just going to read you a couple of things here. Actually, just give me 1 second. I'm just going to read you a couple of things. Switch over to my note list that I wanted. Okay, so I wrote a couple of notes here about Bitcoin. So first one, I wanted to say here, what are your thoughts on Bitcoin? Give me your next price, next 3 months. Give me the price for Bitcoin, guys. 80, 120, 100. throw it to me in the chat. Let's see. What do you have for Bitcoin over the next 3 months? So 3 months time, Bitcoin's price, give it to me now. Because we have a lot to discuss. And I discussed this in the macro class in depth today about my thoughts on the old Bitcoin and what's happening here. Because in my opinion, this is the largest mass adoption of the coin ever. And there's going to be some wacky stuff that's going to be put in a film about what is going to happen here. All right, so we've got Edward coming in with 67K, Vemi's 125, Orange 84, Joseph 80. That's what I love about Bitcoin. No one ever agrees. 118, 120, 120. No worries, Darth. That'd be very cool. Love to see you in there. 120, 104. Sock started still early moves. Yep. So we'll check that out in a second. 15, 130, 195. Depends on Trump. We'll decide how it goes. Well, he is the YouTuber. He's got some nice looking car there too. So, maybe this one probably has Bitcoin number plates. Gold Rush, 150, 150, 132, 125, 200, 150. So a lot of you are up. Okay. So I wrote some things down here. So first up, I'm just going to tell you this. There are over 130 MSTR clones in the markets today. So this is a nut stat. 3% of Bitcoin is held between the 130 MSTR clones. Now, obviously, MSTR is the number one, but there are so many businesses switching to MSTR style systems. And this has me just thinking it's 2021 all over again. Okay, so here we go. We've got tokenization, the word that now is everywhere and everything. Textbook bases. So basically, we have a pit that is a pullback in time on the technical charts, which you guys know I like very much. This is a pit. It's a pullback in time. We're going sideways at an all-time high. And I don't tend to usually treat them as negative. Okay. Until proven otherwise, I'll be bullish on those. Better to do that. Better to go with the generalized trend. Monthly up, weekly up, daily currently up. Okay. So generally speaking, it is quite bullish. Stable coins are now going mainstream. We're seeing that, of course, with all of these brokers, Hood, etc. So we're also seeing that with the banks. And we've got another one. Now, I mentioned the code 3%. 3% of all Bitcoin is now held within these 130 plus businesses that are all like MSTR. They make no money, but they buy Bitcoin. They become worth 400% more or whatever is happening right now. And it doesn't sound very good long term to me, but here's the thing about this 130 businesses is that they are eating some of the liquidity along with the banks are also eating the liquidity. So does anyone know with a normal stock, let's say we get like AAPL, how much of the actual stock is generally traded? So remember, there's a certain outstanding amount of shares, but as a percentage, how much of the stock is actually traded generally? Because remember, who owns Apple? Funds, pensions, supers here in Australia, retirement, anything, mandated companies, all of these types of things. So generally, it's somewhere between kind of 15 and 20%. All right. As a general rule, somewhere around there. And you might say it's less or more depending, but there's not that much available, yeah? And it will go with a range. So with Bitcoin, 3% of that now has been eaten by these businesses here that really can't sell it because their whole mandate is they buy more. So it's actually drying up a bit of liquidity. And that's not a small firm because we remember some of Bitcoin's lost. Some of Bitcoin is obviously traded. Some is just like full on, just like hodled out of the wild. And a lot of people just don't sell it. It has one of those strongest buying communities. It's really interesting to see it hover during all of this positive news that's been coming out really for quite some time. So yeah, it's poised for a big move. I think it's going to be a big one. And if I had to guess, yes, I would be on the bullish end. I'm assuming every crypto channel is like to the moon right now, so it may need a flush. And what a flush is where the market will take out something, such as this, go down to like 95 out of nowhere and then start rallying through. And that's a typical crypto move. It's like one of those really nasty moves. So I'm probably on the bullish side as well, guys. I think that there are so many decent catalysts here. What could derail this is, as somebody said before, is probably like a random US government kind of switch here. I mean, it could be a double top if we get more bottoming wicks, says YouTuber. It's possible. Tom, how have you been? Long time. Markets are about to go crazy. I agree, Reese. I hope you've been doing well. And David says it's already done that. Or you think it's already gone crazy, or you think it's already done the wipe? So the wipe's here is what you're saying. So this is the liquidity grab, and this is effectively the steal, is what you're mentioning. Yeah, it's possible that's what it's already done. And also, this has already wiped out a lot of people. This obviously was an extremely good buy where we saw gold switch to Bitcoin. And yeah, while they're not doing so well today, remember, it doesn't change the fact I'm bullish on gold, silver in the longer term. These are the three pillars of geopolitical tensions that I tend to like at the moment: Bitcoin, silver, gold. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish on it. I think it looks pretty good. And for a long time, I've only really believed in Bitcoin, but this is the kind of one that could take the alt market as well. So there's a lot of alts that are poised on potential basing formations right now. If you actually look through even the mains, it's going to be a very interesting time for crypto. And I know we're not a crypto channel, but yeah, I just thought that stat was wild. 3% of all of the crypto, the Bitcoin anyway, held by 130 businesses plus that are all kind of copying MSTR's trick book. And it seems to be growing by the day. How many until it goes bad? Is it going to be 200? Are we going to see 250? Is it ever going to go bad? What do you guys think? Will MSTR and the other experiments eventually go bad? What do you guys think right now? Greg says we are in extreme greed now. We're certainly getting there, Greg. I mean, what you're usually looking for extreme greed is hood style runs. Another one that's classic has been the PLTR here moving. On the upside, obviously, some extremely big moves. By the way, if you're looking at these kind of big volumes, you can kind of see here that the volume take up here in PLTR during this whole dump rally kind of stuff that happened recently. See how it's so much bigger than the rest? And that's because, it's just that unusually large sizing. So when that starts to happen, a lot more retail usually around. Just take a look at silver, certainly should. Bitcoin survives until the cryptography fails. Yep. Yes, will be a doc about it. I kind of agree, Vemi. I think eventually there'll be a doc about all of these businesses and whatever's going on, especially some of these small ones, because that's 130 kind of copying the similar idea. I noticed MetaPlanet just bought even more, which is the second one to MSTR in terms of size. And that was just buying even more Bitcoin announcements over the weekend. So first up, Bitcoin's looking okay. Ethereum, obviously on the precipice of potentially a breakout. You can see the coil here. Certainly worthwhile watching, even if you're not going to participate. We've got S&P 500, bullish at the moment. Certainly getting closer and closer and closer to the danger zone, at least how we see it right now, for a potential 20-weekly moving pullback. We've got oil. Too early to tell, I feel. Do I think it's a decent buy area? Possibly, but it hasn't really done what I would like to replicate off. So that's kind of just holding the zone. So certainly there. We've got Tesla down pretty big this morning. We've got the US dollar playing with the resistance here of the bears. So basically there's sell-off, dump, now coming back. If I had to guess, I think the dollar is probably going to go bullish around here. And I know the trend is down. Like, don't get me wrong. The daily's down at the moment. The weekly's down. The monthly's down. But we did hit 96. And, of course, 96, 95, 50. I've been looking for it. You guys have been looking for it for weeks and weeks and weeks. So this is, a very important point here. Tulips were pure psychology. Bitcoin is math. Can we go with math and a little bit of psychology there? Too much of a good thing can only mean bad, says Liquid Mafia. And Logical Chaos says, nice name, Parabolic. Did we mention Patrick Boyle vid? Yeah, Patrick Boyle has a good video as well talking about this breakdown of the Bitcoin situation and MSTR as well. Medicaid people will start saving. Well, Medicaid, as far as I know, this whole Medicaid situation, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, is not going to come in until 2026 December. Might want to check that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually start taking mass effect until then. So yeah, that could hurt a lot of people, and obviously could really hurt the bottom middle class and I guess the lower class. But time will tell on that one. It's going to be a while. What do you think about Tesla's long term? I don't think Elon particularly cares. I really don't. So my opinion is it's a great trade. It's not bad for, anything to do with trading and finding opportunities and stuff. But for quite a while, I've mentioned this, big people that I know that were big bulls in Tesla stopped being bullish a while ago now. They just moved on to new things. And that usually tells me that, I deem them to be pretty good at what they're doing. And I found that, quite interesting. So I think that with Tesla, the way I see it is I've owned a few of their cars. I don't quite think they're ahead anymore like they were. I felt like they were over here and now everyone else is catching very closely. You might say, well, it's a robotics business. It could be. It just has to pull it off. So the robotics AI business, that I believe is the next AI area. And at the moment, all anyone cares about is hardware and infrastructure. Okay. But the next one is going to be AI product. All right. And it's just pretty much how tech always goes. Will Tesla be the leader of that? I don't know. Would it be part of a basket if I was trying to create one right now? I think you'd have to have it as a consideration. But Elon does not seem to care about hammering a little bit of the stockholders. And I think that in itself would mean that I'd have a very hard time having that as my single stock, which a lot of people do have. So, and I think whenever you get this politically charged, it's just never been good. No one likes talking about politics. Well, you guys probably, some of you do, but let's be real. If we all had a discussion about it right now and talked politics, everyone would complain and everyone would disagree with each other. So it's the one thing you don't do. It's like poison, like kryptonite. You don't want to do that. So yeah, my long-term opinion at the moment, I couldn't say good. But yeah, the stock has proven wrong many times. All right, so let's go here to the dollar index and let's go with the high here of 97 because this is a big break. What this will probably do is start to get more buyers into the 97.80, and you've got to remember everyone's weak dollar, so that's going to be a big one here. And yeah, I think the dollar is starting to find a little bit of strength. That's leading into some weakness in silver and gold, which you guys are seeing. And a few people asked me about it just before. I can see why like a gold will be selling and even a silver. The key level to watch for today is going to be how does it react to the 36? Because 36 is the daily 20 on silver. And it is also where we've seen the most traded area. So I would say check this area. This is the zone for day traders, scalpers, swing traders, all that type of stuff, about 36. I agree, though, Waymo is taking off in self-driving. Tesla is chasing. Yeah, if you value Tesla as a car company, I would not value it as highly. I certainly wouldn't. And it's more the Chinese companies. They're just absolutely smashing. I mean, they are tooling and turning around cars within 6 months. And if you've ever looked at Toyota, they tool and turn around a car in like 5 years. So we are talking about acceleration like no other car companies in the world, and they're just smashing it. And I know you don't get them in the US, but we're getting them here in Australia, and we get like the old versions. So the new ones, wow, they're crazy. Will they fall apart? I have no idea, but I would gather that they're still pretty decent. Tom, can you analyze XBI as well? It starts to align with some biotech stocks like CRISPR. Could be start of great buy process. Yeah. So in 2021, when we continued to see everything go hyper growth, we also saw bios, because bios will benefit from AI. So there's two things you're going to need for bio. One thing is these things don't make money. Okay. There's like no profit in biotech. It is a loss machine until they find something. AI is starting to cut costs down, which is awesome. And it is also going to need rate cuts. Okay. So if you believe rate cuts are coming in the US and you believe AI is here to stay and it's just improving all the time, then you've got to say bio is improving. And of course, from a TA perspective, you can't really hate what you're seeing right now. It's a nice pickup. And what you do is you go XBI, Biotech, and then slash S&P. And this will tell you whether it's outperforming the S&P or underperforming. And you'll notice most of the time it's terrible. Okay. It's been absolutely terrible since 2021, since the peak of the hyper rally, which was all like companies make no money. It's been downhill. So on this metric alone, what would you guys do? Would you really want to be buying bio? Okay, it looks cheap, but it hasn't turned. So all it really is still in a downward trend. They are crashing and randomly bursting into flames in China. There's Aliandri. Yeah. Wow. Aussie living in Thailand. China sells all their products that fall apart into Asia now. The stuff they send to Western countries is generally as good or better built than they could make locally. I have heard there's like bin qualities. Yeah. The stuff here, I've driven a little bit of it. Seems okay to me, but I don't own it, so I don't know. Labu just broke out of a pennant. Yeah. Yeah. So a little bit of volume as well kicking through, but main thing is it's still technically in a downtrend. Now, I don't think XBI is the best pick for this. So one of the winners in bio sometimes, or one of the most well-known companies is CRISPR. So if you have a look at CRISPR, a leader starting to improve. So we look at the history of CRISPR. Again, classic 2021 stock. My goodness, doing so well. So terrible now as a ratio to the S&P, in the dirt. The same as when it IPO'd. So when you then look at this, you can say, yes, it has been improving. And quite a few people in our private community have been on this one, realizing early, because you can actually pick it in TA that it's improvement. Now, bio is very risky, so make sure you know what you're doing. But you can see it in the technical analysis here that it has been on the improve, and particularly when it broke through this 40 bracket. So it's continuing to strengthen. And I would say, we're looking at 56s, 58s on something like CRISPR. So yeah, certainly bio improving. Apple plus 10 billion equals nothing car. Yeah, Apple didn't. What happened to the Apple car? They just canceled it, hey? Apple seems to be moving into the entertainment sector. The F1 movie costs so much. Has anyone seen this F1 movie? I've got to be real. I saw the trailer. I love F1. There is no way I want to watch that film. Am I right or am I wrong? I don't care whether it gets an 8 or a 9. It looked so bad. I'm sure it's, a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10, but man, that thing looked bad. F1 was good? Oh, really? Jeez, tell you what, they didn't do a good job on that trailer. Did not think that looked good. All right. So we have dollar looking a bit more bullish. Oil, question mark. VIX spiking a little bit. Bio, not wrong, guys. I'm definitely seeing an improvement here in the bio sector. And quite a lot of leads. So we've got leads and semis. NVDA continuing to prowl higher. 175 in the future. Could be on the horizon. It Apple breaking out last week. All this. So this was the breakout of that pennant that we saw. Breached it. Bottom end was like this. Or some people had one that was drawn through the lows here. Either way, it broke to the upside. So for the first time, it's moving a little bit bullish. It did hit the first TP. So that's around 213. the first little TP. And if it keeps going up, you're looking at about 224. Fundamentally, it doesn't look very good, but it is what it is. Really good? Can't be worse than New Jurassic Park. They're still making those. The old Jurassic Park. Now, that was boss. That first Jurassic Park, ooh, I remember that vividly. I saw it in the films. The movie scared the rubbish out of me. I think I saw the T-Rex. I was like, what is going on? I'll never forget that T-Rex was terrifying on the big screen. AMD, we'll check it out in a second. Great movie, stick to stock. Really? I mean, I haven't. Let's have a look here. F1 movie gets an 8. Okay, so it's an 8. Well, then I was right. It's an 8. Still doesn't probably interest me, but yeah, looks like an 8. So it's on semis, Aaron. It's generally the same. I mean, you look at semis versus SPY is the main combo we want to be doing, and the improvement here has gotten us to really around that resistance area. So basically, it's at, I would say, a point where I could see consolidation or decline a little bit. Look, semis have been on an epic run, and although I do think they'll probably go higher, we can't deny that they've been on an epic run. And if we take the range, we use the break technique, then we're going to get higher. If we use just the length, then we're pretty close. Okay, depends on how you want to analyze it from that point, but we're still at that resistance in terms of where we have the combo. And if we look at semis themselves, still breaking higher. So there's no reason to say they're down yet. I'm watching the S&P the most closely. I think, look, semis and S&P are going to be pretty linked. Ignoring Tesla's long-term situation, every politics-related dip has been brought up quickly. Where would you look for potential support and short-term bounce? 280. People say the story is great. Okay. Please check BHP. A lot of people going in. A lot of people would be going in on that. So if we have a look at iron ore in general, I saw a lot of you guys mentioning Vale, BHP, etc. Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at iron ore, these pretty much metals are the current run. So I'll show you that in a second. See this? There's a little breach up of the last couple of days. Now, if you know anything about iron ore this year, it's been terrible. Okay. But then it did this tweezer bottom and started to rally about 2 weeks ago. And that's causing a couple of bottom basement dwellers to come up. We've got Vale, big improvement in the stock. See here, bottom basing, good volume. Obviously, iron ore stock. We've got Rio, which is also on the US market, and ASX. We'll use the ASX here just to show you why some of these things are here. But anyway, it's all right. You can see the base low. So that's a good steal, decent volume, decent rally. And that's definitely happening. Then you got the classic in Australia, which is the Fortescue, also taking a new high. So yeah, I don't think metals are behind, and they seem to be moving quite nicely at this stage. I'll actually bring it up. I'll show you guys this. Let me just grab it. Show you the rotation that we've got at the moment. We've got 3 sectors leading. And you got to remember, we love watching the sectors. It's very important to do that. So 3-month rotation. All right, here we go. I'll bring it back on. 3-month rotation is here. And we're looking at around semis, number 1, metals, number 2. Okay. So when this starts, especially if we've got still that rotation last month, it tends to keep going. So if we go year to date, metals is 23.79%. And you can see here it's in a very strong upward tick. So pretty much metals are where most of the big buyers are. In fact, it's been beating semis this year. And that tends to often go on for a while because if you look here, metals, if you go over a 1-year run, are only middling of the pack. So see that? It rallied back in up to about October to November of last year and got sold off and has rallied quite hard since then. So metals and semis are where the last 3 months worth of money rotation are, and tech. And I don't see why they wouldn't be continuing to be the winner. Now, if you notice, healthcare is the second worst. Staples down there as well, and utilities is beating healthcare. So as long as we continue to see kind of the defensives being down the low bottoms and we see the tech at the tops, we have to believe the bulls are in full control of the market. All right. So this rotation is always very important. If you don't follow rotation, you don't follow the biggest investors in the world, the biggest funds in the world, then you probably don't quite understand how flow works. And generally speaking, it is a multi-month move when they start to go into something. So why we've seen semis continuing to outperform after they went in April, into May, into June, into July, we find ourselves where we are right now. They started a mass rotation, but the rotation has also been very strong in metals. So it looks like iron ore is starting to play catch up, and a few of you guys are spotting that. I don't disagree. It's starting to find some buyers. Are streaming companies a good way to bet on metals? Streaming companies. Streaming company. I'm not sure what you mean. Tom, would you expect a more significant pullback in gold, silver? It's been going for a while, and retails is also on the bandwagon purely based on the noise. I expect pullbacks to be had. Look, yes, they're not as good as when I first brought them to our attention, which obviously was gold many years ago. However, I do think that in general, I do expect gold and silver to continue to outperform the markets. And the main reason is because, yes, retail's on it, but central banks are buying and they're continuing to buy. They're not going to stop. When central banks buy, they continue to buy. And the great irony of it all is they all bought gold for like a couple $100 an ounce or way even less. They sold it for like a couple $100 and even less. And then now they're all buying back in at these thousands of dollars. So central banks are not exactly great investors, but they are buying it. And you just can't deny that's big flow. The other thing that I'd be looking at is, of course, when I'm looking at gold, silver, and also Bitcoin, I also looking at those other metals. Platinum, I mean, you're probably not aware of this, but if you look at platinum runs in recent times, it's been pretty good. Like platinum's gone from 980 to 1300. I mean, it's just been across the board metals. And you might say, well, does that mean it's over? It might go sideways for a little bit, but I think still bullish ultimately. LFI says Tesla goes to 240 if Elon continues with the new party thing. Yeah, certainly it could go there. It needs to drop 280 though for that to happen. Check platinum. Yep, I can see it here. I already was ahead of you on that one. So platinum's certainly a very epic run and breached the 2021 highs. You probably don't, or we don't have the full history of platinum here, but yeah, it could certainly go higher. Is it the new gold? It's just one of the many decent quality metals plays. And remember, copper is your main barometer on the general markets of growth. And yes, it's pulling back at the moment, but if it holds this daily 20 and then it rallies through, you can set an alert above 520. If that happens, then that's generally very good for iron ore as well. So if we get past the 520 in the future, I could see iron ore really starting to pop. Gamma setup seems accommodating for Reddit. Let's have a quick look here. Reddit meme stock in some ways. Yeah, so this one's actually had a really great TA on it. So if you were buying in 16th of June, well done to you. Very nice breakout. So you've got your inverse head and shoulders. You've got your break up to the first supply, which is your break even point or a bit of TP. And then, of course, that doesn't even complete your first A equals B kind of length, which is going to get you to around 180. I think that's okay. I'd say the first level has been hit, though. So not really early to the game anymore. If you wanted to go early for a stock that's really belted, it'd probably be something like Pepsi. Big volumes, nice rally, drops back, could come back to like a 142. Not that exciting name, but certainly a decent base here. We've got about 9 minutes till the market opens, guys. The week ahead is really going to be marked by the 9th of July and probably Trump this week. So I would be, unfortunately or unfortunately, needing to pay attention to the tweets and the tariff discussion. The markets don't seem to care too much about tariff on, tariff off anymore. So they all know how it's going to end. And therefore, they're not pricing any risk on it. But if Trump does chuck stuff on and then refuses to take it off, obviously it may move the markets around. Now, you guys want AMD. I will show you AMD. Don't have it on that chart anymore, so I'll just bring it over here. I think AMD is a bit, maybe is it a canary or something? Great run, excellent rally to 145. The problem is it's since then island reverse. So you've got a gap up, gap down after consolidating. I'd say for now, I'd be more on the downside than upside for AMD. I'm not shorting it. I'd still be looking for longs, but I can't say that there's anything good about this current price because are we at the daily 20? Just gone bounce, 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 bounce. No, we're not. So 130 would be the level I looked at here. Algorithmic S&P chart going back to 1929. Okay. Jerome Powell and Deadhead loves Grateful Dead. Okay. What are you looking for in a defensive stock? Would you prefer single stocks or XLV, for example? XLV has a little bit of pharma in it. Is in like it's got the drug companies as well as other healthcare businesses. So some of them are being a little bit more hit up by all this stuff with the US government. So usually I would go the winners. So I would say what have been the winners over the last quarter and last year. And then I would generally buy a basket of those. Yeah. What do you think about Warner Brothers Discovery? We did take a look at that one a little while ago. That's a beaten down stock that I think recently got like some junk bond status or something put on it. Yeah, not really for me, but it certainly is, coming back. I think it's at resistance. You think Hood will trip the 85 pivot? Trip the 85 pivot. The pivot on the market is in a technical pivot. Yeah, I think it could certainly get down there. A lot of people super long on that. Number one largest trade of all time on Hood just went through last week. I think it's in our 2 videos ago, so you can check that out as well. US oil and resistance. US oil is at an area of more interest towards bulls, but I think it's a very dangerous trade. Hi, please. Can you give us your perspective on Google? I think Google is the cheapest of the Mag 7 stocks by all metrics. It does look tasty and very enticing. The only problem with Google is governments. If governments are forced to take, let's say AI and people start complaining about it, they will attack Google and Meta, in my opinion. So these 2 stocks will get attacked by governments, Meta and Google. Now, if you ignore that, fundamentally cheap, some amazing potential growth areas for them and would be in my close to, best stocks in the market from a lot of perspectives. What about Google losing search to AI? Yeah, I think they'll be able to pick up if they pivot fast enough. So it is going to hurt their search side. I don't know how you guys are going. Like, what's the general consensus here in the chat? Are you using chatbots that aren't Google nowadays more than Google search? I assume most of you probably are. So personally, I would say I am probably Oh, it's changing a little bit. I find these to be quite inaccurate. They're still broken as hell, but I'm probably at 50 to 60% in these things nowadays. And yeah, so anywhere from 50 to 40. So 40 to 50 in Google. So I'd say between it, I'm getting more in the chatbots. Google and Grok. There's Pekka coding a mix, but generally now using Gemini. Normal Google is good enough, says Stahl. Commercial on Google, everything else LLM. Build your own. I rarely use Google search now. Gemini Pro has been good AI. Doing to drop like a stone at the open. Yep, get it. Google's chatbot and search is pretty good. I see many older people using this without them knowing. That's correct. So that's the little text that comes up underneath the search, which they have the possibility of pivoting really quickly here and collecting most of their audience. But yeah, I'm not sure. Been using Gemini. 95% AI search depends on what I'm searching. Gemini is good. Yeah. And a lot of people saying Gemini writes good code. Look, I'm bullish on Google. I don't think you can look at this technically either and not say it's bullish. Big volumes, decent trades through here and here. We saw some pretty large dark pools. It's got a lot to do just to get to 200, and that's a percentage upside of about 14%. I think it's quite behind, but it has been for a while. So the threat of the government of the world is the real threat on this stock. All right, guys, we've got about 3 minutes till open. Today, the stories that we're going through, Bitcoin, could it be the next big move? If I had to guess, I'd probably go more upside based on current action. We talked about quite a few things, tokenization, volume drying up because that 3%, 100 and whatever it is, 30 businesses in the MSTR range, US dollar continuing to kind of be weak or around that weak area, although I do think it might be strengthening there for day traders. Check that out. And of course, we've got a textbook hit, pull back in time at the high. By the way, anyone that does watch F1, I want to give Hulkenberg a massive congratulations. What a beast. Absolutely taking that car, that car that deserves nowhere near the top, and getting that third, the podium. He must be very relieved. That was pretty wild. Crocs and Hey Dude everywhere. Ethereum just wants a little attention. We checked out Ethereum before. It hasn't broken up yet. It's kind of at that long leg doji area. Thanks very much, Jonathan. Appreciate it. He's the GOAT. First podium of his career. Yeah, I know it was like 250 or something podium without a podium. Any thoughts on XYZ? Yeah. Look, it's doing a very similar thing to what a lot of these other Bitcoin businesses are doing. This is for anyone that doesn't know. Square turned Block turned Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin love child. This stock just seems to underperform, and I don't know whether it's Jack Dorsey's giant beard or something else, but it is an underperforming stock. Now, if it's going to get interest, this is around the breakout area. So if you believe in some Bitcoin storyline taking it to the moon, maybe $90 or something, that's okay. Risk reward does make sense for that. You'd be putting stops under here and saying this was a breakout rally. Probably not for me, but I can understand why people would do that. All right, 1 minute, and we're about to open here. Crash says, my daughter, as an F1 fan, said the guy in third has no business being there. He drove the tires off that car. Yeah, absolutely. 19 to third is absolutely wild. So here we go, guys. Ding, ding, ding. We are open. 7% down in Tesla's got to be the story of the day. So this is Elon getting back into politics again, this time with his new party. And of course, the market won't like that. There will be a lot of retail people freaked out. So between this level here, 300 and 280 is where we will get puts. So there'll be a lot of walls here sitting around this price. And you're obviously looking for, can we get a bid off here? So the first couple of minutes of the day isn't really going to help you. if I had to guess, the market is quite resilient on this stock. We've seen Elon kind of back down quite a few times as well. So that's really your guess point. Yeah, I would say something like that could play out, but it is a bit gamblery, and I don't really like gamblery. I like usually some form of sophisticated movement or play. So a lot of reds here in these founder-led businesses. A lot of these have been very heavily bought up in recent times. So you can see here that they're down big time. Wow, Webull is down 12.76% off that offering. So it's actually getting to an interesting level, but unfortunately did the offering, so maybe that's why. What is this? Social Buzz. Webull shares slide after entering standby equity purchase agreement. Okay. Interesting. Coin only down 0.26, still holding. Hood down 0.85, so just stuck in the middle of nowhere land. PLTR only down 0.17. So market's still grinding higher, and they're not grinding with the stocks that they've been going up with recently. So that is rotation. And you can see that the German market's up almost 1%. Give me 1 sec. I'm just going to grab the rotations of the day. Okay, here we go. Grab this 1 dayer. So we've got home builders up, metals are down today. Financials holding. So a really weird mix. Home builders, very good pick here from one of the members last week of our private community to show you here. We'll just use Toll as an example. And you can kind of see here that rallied and filled gaps. And ITB, I do not like home builders, by the way. I just can't deny that the technicals were there. You can kind of see here it's holding big ass volumes. So could be a little bit of a relief rally before I think eventually turning back down. Tesla fat since 2021. That would be correct if you went to a period of time here. Huge risk in Musk versus Trump. Dangerous catalyst. Yep, could get wild. Can't trade Tesla with Elon. The charts become bipolar. Yeah, and that's your choice. Exactly. You've got to move away if the risk is too great. And I agree with you. The risk is very high. There are sometimes good entries. We do cover Tesla daily on the channel. Maybe that'll have to change in the future if we lose the ability to actually make informed decisions on it. But yeah, you're not wrong. Netflix turning down after an epic run. Boy, oh boy, I wouldn't have thought it was going to go on an epic run this hard either. This just shows you can go there, expect the unexpected. 1,287. Coming off 177. Remember the announcement around here? No more family accounts. No family. Okay. We are no family business right now. And look at it go. This is an epic run. What's it worth now? Market cap wise, $500 billion. Yeah, that's overbought for sure. That is really big. Let's check the monthlies here. Oh, yeah. See those big three? I do not like this stock. So that big three run, I would not be a fan of this stock anymore. Historically, I would say decline sideways. No more left in this one's tank, or very little. 603 SPY is looking for trades. Yep. So you're talking about like the options side. I don't have the updated one today, but yeah, generally speaking, the 6,300, 6,285 area is quite strong on the call walls this week. Yeah, that Netflix is an epic rally. Well done if you're in it. Next, Netflix about to distribute to the Muppets. Netflix will be first to Mars. Yeah, I think it might have reached Mars. It's on a round trip back. Slight pullback on everything this week. Yep. We're very close to that magical level that I'm sure a lot of people have on their charts. 63, 63.20. So although there's not a real reason other than just overbought everything, I'm not seeing too many excellent setups. Most of the setups that are good at the moment, they're really beaten down stocks. You've got your Pepsis, you've got your iron ores that are smashed and down really low. These are the types of ones that have got decent setups. Your semiconductors, they're all at kind of resistances. And you saw it before, semiconductors versus SPX is kind of at a consolidation zone. I'm down 10% on my Tesla. Grr. Yeah. How are you down 10? Could be down only 7, yeah? Oh, you mean you bought above that price? Not good to hear, man. Hopefully it improves for you. I will say though, the weekly was nasty. Not so much last week's close, but the week before. This is a very nasty candle. That is neat. I would imprint that into your mind. Okay. This is actually a really nasty candle coming off this high. It's a classic short. Sell off over the weekends. Yes, possible. You're really playing with a lot of danger here. I mean, got 40 points, 50 points before a pretty big res. AMD on the 10-minute chart looks interesting. Too low. 10-minute chart, probably not interesting. Not enough time. You don't get as much edge anymore. The algos are all over those time frames. Tesla are about to lose a lot of carbon credits due to the BBBs. That was the entire business model for years. Yeah, I agree. It's not good. It's not really very good. But again, I don't really fall into narratives. I always say that, if it's in the press, it's generally in the price. I'm just looking at whether there's a squeeze up or a non-squeeze up. Now, if you're an investor, you've got to think outside the box and say, do you really want to be invested anymore? Is it too stressful? And I always say when a stock becomes too stressful, it's not worth it. Time is everything to us, guys. I was checking out the other day, the old 30 to 50 bracket. And I got to say, yeah, especially guys, we got to look after ourselves, guys. there's some bad stuff out there that's happening to us in terms of health and food. My goodness, the food's killing us. I'm telling you, this processed stuff is really crazy. So about 300% increased cancers and stuff. So if you get stressed, remember, stress is the worst. Yes, lesson learned. I am and will recover. I'm glad you are cool and keeping an optimistic outcome, man. That's good work. Over 40 sucks. I'm not there yet, so I don't know that one. NVIDIA looking on the weekly so strong. Yeah, I agree. Look, trends are good. Semi's still leading. We looked at the rotation. I'm feeling a gut instinct, which is never really what I'd trade off, but that we're probably topping a little bit around here for a pullback to the weekly 20, but it's not enough. You need a technical. There's nothing there. You've got no flow. You've got not really a huge amount of big trades yet. We have some catalysts, earnings, 15th, particularly that JP Morgan and Trump's tweets. So basically this week is tweets, Elon versus Trump, and effectively, yeah. Then it comes into earnings. Have you looked at Nike at all? No, not really. It's been pretty disappointing for a long time. Yeah, I mean, look, the main argument here is downward trend line, bit of a breach out. I think that's probably the main one. So it took a bit of volume to get through there. It does look improved. You talking about Four Corners vid? No, I haven't seen Four Corners. That's Australian TV show, by the way, if anyone doesn't know. I think it's just the general thoughts here. VIX 1-day bull break. Yeah, well, I don't trade the VIX on a 1 day generally. Sometimes you want to trade VIX just when it's super crazy up here. There is some profit to be made, but generally no. Little break up, not enough to say a big break is going to happen here. No worries, Pit Boss. Appreciate it. Deal with SpaceX for GSAT. That's true. Okay. I don't know much about this business. Too small for me. 3.19 bill. I like $5 billion businesses. But yes, it is a flag break, and obviously it's technically up. Just as broad context, not trading. I understand, Matt. Yep. Thoughts on IWM? Improvement, man. Improvement. So IWM versus SPY. Again, we put this on the weekend vid as well. It's improvement, but no breakout. So again, I would say that means that we still haven't seen small caps properly rotate into. At the moment, if you're going with smalls, in many ways, the bio area is the one that seems to be, which is a big part of IWM, by the way, is the one that might be needed to watch. When till treasuries not be garbage? I'm in deep. Yeah, a lot of people are. Look, treasuries is a very interesting one. I say at the same time. Anyone know what I say about treasuries before I answer the question? What do I say about the treasuries? Algo Factory Trading says, my first time watching your show. Welcome, brother. Really like its mates. Appreciate it, man. Tom, this next pullback, you talk about expecting it to gap fill the 20. I expect it to come back to the weekly 20 moving average. Yeah. It's not a trade, lol. Yeah, it's not a trade, man. The problem with treasuries is always the same. The risks are too much. So at the moment, you have so much complexity in it. I mean, we saw what happened to treasuries. You're logically thinking this is cheap when you go back to a chart from 2000. Every other fund manager's thinking the same thing. And they're all looking at it and going, yeah. But the issue is we have so much rollover. So Q3, Q4, particularly Q4 of this year, Q1 of 2026, there are like trillions of, well, just obscene amounts of money, yeah? Billions and billions and billions of treasuries. So we have so many treasuries that are going to be needing to sold. We also have Trump's, Fed possibilities here with what might happen with Jerome and obviously the cuts that could come. So it's out in the air. You're like, this is the problem. No one knows. That being said, I will say I believe treasuries is going to have a crazy move on it over the next 9 months. There's going to be a big one, like one of those ones that you go, wow, everyone's now talking about it. I would guess it could be to the upside. It may be quantitative easing. The QE is probably your friend there. And at the moment, I'd say it's on support, man. So look, I think that the upside case is 90 at the moment. And I'd say it's on support. Deep in treasuries, I understand why. It seems really good as a story. It's very sellable. The problem is that everyone did the same thing. So story today, guys, is Bitcoin, a very interesting level. All of crypto, all the big ones poised for potential breaks. Just waiting. I think there's something very bad there, but this deregulation, tokenization, I've never seen more mentions of tokenization. Tokenization all over LinkedIn, tokenization all over X, it's everywhere. So clearly there's something could be there. US 500 barely eking out the bulls today, but still technically on the warpath, 63.20. Gold, silver, still bullish on them, but want to see some bids today. And watching copper very closely, daily 20 is worthwhile checking out. And US dollar, obviously a little bit of bullish if it gets through this current resistance. Oil, and the rest of the thoughts. So guys, the big news for this week is probably Trump tweets. Truths, Elon versus Trump will be the storyline of at least Tesla. And then we wait for the earnings. Got big banks coming through. And at the moment, if you look at big banks, they're actually not performing the same way they did last year. The last year, at the end, they were like rally. This time around, they've dropped a bit. So that's basically telling us there's a bit of weakness here, but, not enough to say, wow, a crash is coming. I'm always looking for the debt. Where there's the bad debts, I want to know about it. So if you have a story, if you have something that's got to do with really bad debts, shoot me a DM on X over the next 6 to 9 months. I'm particularly hyper alert to debts. I want to know about arrears. I want to know about property in the Sun Belt of America. Tell me about it. What's going on there? Guys on the ground, if you're a real estate agent, give me some info, okay? Because to me, I think what happens in the Sun Belt could be everything to the market, even though it's got nothing to do with stocks. Tokenomics, yes. Web3 is coming. Web3, Web2, Web1. Tom's not a fan of XRP. Look, I'm a fan of XRP from this perspective. You got the best sales engine I've ever seen. If I could somehow figure out your sales engine and bring it across, old XRP, seriously, this has got to be one of the funniest coins when it comes to every single person I've ever known that knows nothing about crypto. They'll often own XRP before they'll own Bitcoin. It's unbelievable, guys. Very good, Kevin. Crypto, etc. dropping. Yeah, but 1, 2, 4, 5% is not going to really, that's not changing the game. Looks like Tesla's getting a little bid. Still down 8, unfortunately. Is UNH a buy? Generally, no. But I haven't looked at the stock. Look, you got to remember, do you really want to buy things that have been brutalized? And when you first get into trading and investing, this seems tempting. You look at this and you say, look how tempting this is. Wow, I'm getting it cheaper. It was $600. You're actually better off buying strength. Strength makes more strength, okay? In a capitalistic environment, as the market's rallying, if you're a newer trader, buy the trend. Let me just tell you this right now. Monthly, down, okay? Weekly, down, horrible. Daily, bad, okay? So every one of the major time frames is down. So why do we want to buy? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that you're wrong. I understand. Everyone loves a good deal. We love to be able to crack the market, but there's no flow. So this could sit here and literally do this for 12 months. And your money is just trapped. And every day you wake up and you look at your stupid stock and you go, is it up? Oh, it's up 1%. It's going to break out. Oh, it's down 1%. Anyone else ever had this before? Oh, it's up 1%. Oh, it's down 1%. Oh, it's up 1%. Oh, it's down 1%. And your mood just becomes this. And no one wants to be that. So the problem is, remember, strength generally brings out more strength, and innovation leads 84% of the time. I wouldn't really say that UNH is an innovative business. I have that with the alts right now. Yeah, it's the worst. Up, down, up, down, up, down. It's the worst, eh? UNH only worth it if you could have got the early bottom, the absolute bottom. The only days that were worth having a crack at UNH were here, and you would have been wrong and stopped out, and here. And you would have been right so far. Yeah, I agree. I'm trapped. I'm in a China ETF. How are you trapped? Be pretty good if you're in a good China ETF. Not bad, man. Look, see? Must own $1 billion Barber. One you're in. SoFi TP 22-ish from a technical base. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, I have it up in here in 222.70 or something. They're weekly highs. Yeah, I like it in here somewhere about this 22 to 22.50. I agree. Yeah. Very good. I think, unfortunately, if you're in a Barber fund, that's probably what's doing it. Tom, do you like Piton? Yeah, I didn't mind Piton's little setup a little while ago. It hasn't done anything, though. But it does have that inverse head and shoulders, left, head, right, breakout, consolidation. Do I like the stock? No. Do I like the product? Low moat. So not really. However, if it starts to find rally, I think it's got tenor in it. So from a technical base, it's okay. but no real strength in the momentum. Guys, that's where we'll pretty much leave it here. So today we're looking at 6,300 as the core wall, 6,320 as the trend line area. And look, it's really touch and go. There's, they always say you don't go broke taking a little bit of a profit. If you are in a great rally and you feel like, that was pretty nice, you've got to expect that as a possible upside. But generally, the stock market will like a weekly 20 pullback at around these areas. Got the all-time high. People are very bullish. Squeezes have happened. Shorters have been wiped out. And we can see that we've got gamma all over the place to the positive side. But that 6,300 is going to be a lot to contend with. 7th, so this is the 18th of July, 6,300. 15th of August, 6,500. Wow. But still 6,300 with a ton of calls above it. That seems like a lot of delicious profit that could be had by the riders of the options, which obviously is Wall Street. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if we're getting closer now. But trend is still up. That's the thing. Been very rally. We've been super rallying this market since especially 60-60. It's been 200 points. Very quick, nice, good. But yeah, catalyst. So watch Trump's truths, and I'll bring you the stuff at the end of the day. I'm looking forward to also bringing you some top-notch data. So big data coming in on the next video. Thank you as always for watching, everybody. Appreciate the thumbs up. Appreciate the comments. And really just appreciate the support. Getting over 200,000 was a massive dream for me in the YouTube world. I thought, can we take this niche of day trading, or not day trading, but so much looking at stocks, doing this kind of macro, really analytical approach, and actually getting here. And obviously, it's thanks to you guys that we've gotten here. And I've got to say, I'm surprised in some ways that there's that many people. Every single person, including all my neighbors, that have said, "Wow, you do YouTube," and then they watch it and they're like, "Bro, I don't understand 2 minutes of this video." So they don't get it. They don't get it like we get it. But you guys are deep in the. I consider us like, some people are the gateway drug in stock and trading, and we're kind of when you've come full circle and you realize how the game plays. So just remember, options matter. Flows matter. Data does matter. Bringing together all of it using technicals as break zones, very efficient. And if you do want to find out more about any of that, we do have courses, of course, over at fxevolution.com. Quick plug. And I would say if you can do it and you're interested about the future, of course, I hold a bit back, guys. So the advanced class in particular, you're going to find out some things will blow your mind about how this market's happened. How do we go with gold, silver, Bitcoin, and how do we still remain bullish at the moment for stock markets? And how did we kind of think that maybe the tariffs weren't going to cause it yet? They'll exacerbate the problem. The problem is much deeper. It's driven by quick fixing democracies. And the way it's going to end is not going to be pretty, but it's all a matter of timing. As you guys know, timing is everything. It's in the press. It's in the price. We'll see you at the close of today. Thank you, guys. Bye for now. Ciao, ciao.